Hi, I'm Ellen Frost. I am the owner of Local Color Flowers. We're a floral design studio in Baltimore, Maryland. Sorry, my space is a mess. We have been in business for 17 years. We source all of our flowers locally, so everything we use come from farms within 100 miles of Baltimore. We do all the things that florists do, but with local flowers. I also teach 2 classes with the Gardener's Workshop, which is how Lisa and I work together. We've known each other for many years, but I offer 2 classes through the Gardener's Workshop. And today I'm going to show you how I make a hand-tied bouquet. We made a large urn before, short urn later, and I'm happy to answer questions about these as well. And just a note, if you are not already on our newsletter sign-up list, we're going to do a giveaway of a t-shirt after this demo. So if you want to quick get your name on here so that you can maybe win a t-shirt, feel free to do that. Yep, feel free. Let's move those over here. All right, so hand-tied bouquet. The other 2 arrangements that I did today are vase arrangements. This one you could put in a vase once you're done, but I'm going to do it hand-tied today. So this is a spiral technique. Does anybody already do spiral bouquets? Nobody yet. Okay, good, great. So glad to show you this then. So a lot of times when people do bouquet making, if you're a farmer, it's because you're going to a farmer's market and you're going to make bouquets before you go. And a lot of times the way farmers do it is they lay everything out, they pick everything up, everything is a bouquet, you wrap it up, you send it to market. Speed is number 1 when you're doing bouquets like that. Also, bouquets are often very vertical. So, straight stems, straight up and down, wrap it up. When we're making hand-tied bouquets for like a bridal bouquet or for something that we might pop in a vase later, we're going to use a spiral technique so that our bouquet is a little more naturally styled, a little more splayed out, a little more less upright, more outright. So the technique that I'm going to show you today, I'll just say, is easy to look at and hard to master. This is a technique that takes a lot of practice, and if you're at home and you want to practice it, just pick up some, I don't know, like when we practice with students, we just use like pussy willow stems, just some sticks that you have at home so that you can practice the technique. It doesn't really, you can get into colors and sizes and stuff later, but get the technique down first. So a spiral bouquet, like I said, is going to be a more naturally styled bouquet. And I'm going to show you here. I'm right-handed, so I'm always going to place flowers with my right hand, and I'm going to hold with my non-dominant hand. So dominant hand, non-dominant hand. Always what I want to do is I want to take my flower and I want to cross it over at this exact angle, this X shape, right? So that's my first stem. I always like to start with a stem that's sturdy, not a soft stem like, I don't even know what, just not a soft stem. You want something that's like sturdy enough to hold its shape, right? So what I'm going to do is I've got my X shape, and then I'm going to turn the entire bouquet a quarter turn. It's weird, right? It's a strange. I'm going to put another flower in, and I'm going to turn my entire bouquet a quarter inch. So when you're making bouquets for market, a lot of times you're doing what I call the death grip. Hello, my friends are here. You're doing something like this, right? You're just putting stems in and you're holding it with your whole fist. That is what gives that upright. You really want to loosen your hand, not be holding it with your whole fist, and place the flowers between your thumb and your forefinger so that you can see how they're just splaying out. You want to be making your bouquet like this instead of like this. See the difference? So market bouquets often look like this. Our bridal bouquets are often like that. So when we're doing this technique, we are just doing the same movement and then making the turn. Same movement, making the turn. And you can be trimming as you go if you feel like it's like too long. So today I'm using Mountain Mint, which is this mint right here. This is apple mint I'm also using. These are Cosmos. I think these are the Cupcake Cosmos. This is Chin Chimney Rudbeckia. We've got some Lisianthus. So again, just same thing, turn it around. So you can start to see the shape is starting to take place. When you get a little more comfortable with this design, you might be able to put in more than one stem at a time. But in the beginning, I would say just try to go with one stem at a time. Always pre-clean your stems when you're making a bouquet like this. So I tried to pre-clean most of these. What you don't want to do is be making a bouquet and cleaning stems at the same time. So when you have stuff, in the cooler or you harvest, clean all of your stems to the point where you're ready for them to go in the bouquet, so that when you're making it, all you're doing is making it. You're not thinking about cleaning, you're not thinking about anything else. So when we make our bouquets, we love to use a mix of foliage, of focal flowers, of line flowers, filler flowers, all of the things. For us, the more texture and the more interest, the better, especially with local flowers, because people really do like, that sort of garden style feel. Let's trim these up again. I should have said, if you have any questions or you want to chit chat, just say whatever, because I like to talk a lot. And so I am thinking about for me, I usually am thinking about a balanced bouquet look. So, you could do, like if you had a client that wanted an asymmetrical bouquet, or, you wanted to do bunching of colors. But mostly I'm thinking of like a balanced, symmetrical bouquet. And I do like to trim as I go, just because sometimes it gets heavy. So turning. Another foliage I'm going to use a little bit of is this variegated Solomon seal, which is one of my favorite foliages. If you're not growing it already, grow it. It is ready to harvest once the little flowers have died off. So don't harvest it when those flowers are still on, or it will wilt terribly. So you want to really wait. So, like mid-May they come on, they have those cute little white flowers, let them fall off. And then the foliage becomes almost like plasticky. It's like really heavy, really strong. It's never going to wilt. You can keep it in a cooler for weeks. I'm not kidding you. It is and florists love it. If you're a grower, we buy, I'm not kidding, probably thousands of dollars of Solomon seal every year. So grow Solomon seal, but only the variegated one. The plain green one, super boring. I mean, it's like nobody cares. Variegated, everybody loves it. All right, so let me keep going. So this is the whole technique. It is it's the same movement over and over again. It looks really easy. And I was telling somebody before, when we teach this class at our shop, the first time I ever taught it, I think people left feeling a little frustrated, a little not confident when they left, because it is a technique that takes a lot of practice. And so the next time I made it, I prefaced saying, this is going to be a lifelong pursuit of practice. So all I'm teaching you today is the technique, and then you're going to go home and practice and get more comfortable. And, sometimes I still make bridal bouquets that I take apart halfway through and start over because I'm not comfortable, or I set it aside and I come back to it a couple hours later because it's just not doing for me what I want it to do. So just using some of these zinnias. I know if you follow Lisa, you may have seen a podcast episode that her and I did about zinnias and my love-hate relationship with zinnias. I like zinnias. I said before you email me later and say, why don't you like zinnias? I like zinnias. But in our region, we have a lot of zinnia meltdown, which makes zinnias a little nerve-wracking for me because I'm never really sure how they're going to perform. So I do like them, but they make me nervous.
They don't like to look.
I don't like nerves. I like to know exactly what my flowers are going to do when they get to the client's house. And zinnias are one of those flowers that sometimes they're fine and sometimes they melt down the next day. And so I just am never feeling very confident when I use them.
Can you put them in the cooler?
And the cooler is a whole different thing, right? It's not advised to put zinnias in the cooler. For a florist, that is just not a viable way to work. You can't make an arrangement and leave it out of the cooler. Yes, exactly. So this is the technique. You can see it's starting to get some size on it. And what I want to show you is just like, you can see how the stems are, right? That's the spiral. So different than a market bouquet. And you can see that my fingers are not, I'm not clutching it. I'm not giving it that death grip. See the difference right there? That really tightens it up. And if you hold it higher on the neck, that's also going to tighten it up. I really want to be holding it low down so that those stems can really splay out. Everybody see that? So I'll just put a few more in and then I'll show you how I wrap it up. But if anybody has any questions while this is Gomphrena that I'm just putting in. I love adding these like little bits and pieces of things at the end so that people are like, what is that little special thing? Anybody?
Gomphrena is a cool flower.
Gomphrena is a cool flower. I know if you were at Lisa's, she grows a lot of different varieties of Gomphrena. We love all of them. They're great as a dried flower. We dry a lot of Gomphrena. I think that these, the pink and the bouquet ones, the color doesn't last as long for dried as the QIS, you know, the strawberry, the orange. Those really do hold their color a little bit more. But we love all of them. All right, so I'll just wrap it up and maybe add a few more things after. So once I'm done, when I'm making a bouquet like this, there's a couple things you can do. Hold on, let me find a rubber band. One moment. Do you see one? Oh yeah. Sometimes making bouquets like this, especially bridal bouquets, can take a really long time, like hours. That's no joke. So sometimes you might have to go to the bathroom or you have to like eat lunch or something like that. So you can just rubber band it and set it aside. You don't have to just like keep holding it forever. So we rubber band just the way the farmers rubber band, you know, on one stem, wrap it around. And then I can just set it aside, right? Like I can just set it down, walk away, eat my lunch, come back, unrubber band it. Just like that. There's no, no loops, and it's just the same size, same shape, same everything. So when I'm ready to wrap it up for good, I usually use floral tape. There's two sizes. There's like the smaller one. We usually use this one for boutonnieres, or for the fatter one for bouquets. And does anybody use this already? So this is, if you want to come up later and feel it, it feels just like paper. Like it doesn't feel like it has any stick to it, but when you pull it, there's an adhesive inside of it that makes it stick to each other. So I usually use this for, excuse me. So if you can see, I'm just going to hold it with my finger, and then I'm going to wrap it. You can either wrap it just like this, like with your hand, or you can spin it.
I find it very helpful to use zip tie.
Oh yeah, you can use a zip tie too. Same thing. You can zip tie it, or you can leave the rubber band on and you can tape over the rubber band and then cut it off. Anything you want, just to make sure that you keep your size and shape. And then for a bridal bouquet, we actually trim the stems very short. I don't have any ribbon with me, but I would first put ribbon on it. But for bridal bouquet, we're always thinking, I didn't know this when I first started, but the way that brides should be maybe holding their bridal bouquets is so that the flowers are front and center instead of like this, where all you see is like the stems and the sides, which is really strange. And they also should not be holding them like up here. Like I've seen every bad way for a bride to hold their wedding bouquet. But if the stems are very long, they can't angle it out because their dress is going to get wet. So we always trim these stems. Actually, I would trim it probably even shorter. I usually think about an inch or two below the tape so that when they are holding it, it's easy for them to angle it out. So I would just put a piece of ribbon around it and then deliver it in like a cylinder vase. And, you know, it can be bigger, smaller, but the technique is always the same. And you can use this technique for, like, you want to make an arrangement and then you want to stick it in a vase later. You can do that too. I usually make my vase arrangements in the vase, but like my friend Jenny Love from Love and Fresh Flowers, she makes everything in her hand, whether she's putting it in a vase or using it as a hand tied. So you can do either. All right, hand tied bouquet.